Welcome to the podcast no one asked for. I'm Sienna.
And I'm Morgan.
And in today's episode, we're going to...
Save Anne with an E! Dude.
Yo.
Use hashtag renew Anne with an E all over Twitter. Blow it up.
Something tragic has happened.
Can we just... This has been like a... It hasn't even been a week.
No, it hasn't. From when we're filming this.
Oh, wait, no, it has.
Wait, it has?
Yeah, because it happened last Monday.
Okay, y'all. Get ready. We're going to explain everything.
So first off, the show itself is called Anne with an E.
Yeah, what's Anne with an E, Morgan?
It's based off Anne of Green Gables, but it's
They were books, right?
They were all books, and they've made multiple series or multiple movies over...
That are 3 hours long.
Yes. PBS specials from 1985 to 2005.
Yeah.
They made movies about Anne of Green Gables. They've made 1930s versions, 1940s. There's been all different adaptations of this story. Whether they do all the books or they do some of them.
Because there's a lot of... How many books are there?
There's technically 8.
I think there was more. Maybe it just feels like there's more. Because there's so many adaptations.
There's so many adaptations. This is the most recent one. I think they did a movie in 2016.
Oh my gosh.
But this is the most recent one, and it's, I think, I might be wrong, one of the first television series they've ever done.
I feel like it is.
Because they've done movies over the years.
And apparently there's a musical?
Yeah, apparently there's a musical specifically for Anne and Gilbert, which we will get into later.
Ooh, we will put a pin in that for now.
But it's basically, if you don't know the story of Anne and Green Gables, I mean, I don't know how I actually knew it before I saw the show.
I never had heard of Anne of Green Gables.
You hadn't?
Mm-mm, I never watched it, read the books, nothing.
I've never read the books or watched, but I just knew, I guess from word of mouth and just thinking, it's like one of those things, like, you don't remember having it explained to you or something like that.
It's
You just,
like
you know about it, it's pop
effect,
culture.
Mandela effect. This is now a conspiracy episode.
Yes.
But it's a Canadian show.
Yes,
And
because the original story takes place in Canada.
Yeah. This is a Netflix original, but it's
a huge, like, it's very confusing, but it's a CBC and a Netflix original, so CBC is the network it airs on in Canada, but Netflix has the rights to it.
Newscast.
But Netflix has the rights to it here. I don't know if that's all, because it says Netflix original. I'm not sure. I know all Netflix originals go worldwide.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about this one because it's technically Canada affiliated first. That's another conversation.
We'll get there in a second. But Anne's
the show.
like, when the show starts, Anne's like, what, 13? She's an orphan.
She's an orphan.
Bright red hair. Blue eyes. Yeah, fiery red hair.
You know that's not her actual hair color in real life?
It's not?
No, she dyed her hair for the show.
She looks like a natural...
She's a natural blonde.
Like, but her freckles.
But like natural, like strawberry blonde, probably.
Ugh.
But she pulls off red, which is hard.
Well, it looks very natural.
Yeah, it does. They made it so it looked super natural.
Oh my gosh. Okay, if she's strawberry blonde, it's along those lines.
I don't even know if the freckles are real, though.
They have to.
Have you seen, like, photos of her, though?
Well, she wears makeup.
Right.
I didn't cover... As a freckle person myself, they can't...
But people add freckles on TV shows. I don't know.
That's a lot of freckles to add. It covers her whole face.
I know.
Anyway, so she's an orphan, and the first episode, like, the conflict of it is that this family, their brother, sister, they're in their old age, unmarried, they just run their farm, Green Gables.
Green Gables.
And since they're, like, Matthew, the guy, and then Marilla's the girl, since
Cuthbert.
they're, the Cuthberts, since they're up in their age, they need help running the farm, so they ask the orphanage for a boy.
Yes.
But who did they get?
They got Anne.
Wonderful Anne, who's
Little scrawny little girl.
Yeah, scrawny little girl, who is the cutest thing ever.
Oh my gosh. She was so cute.
She loves words.
Oh, she's a big fan of words.
Very inquisitive.
Very smart.
Honestly, kind of out there.
Very old, yeah, for that time
imaginative.
period and like how everybody...
Oh yeah, this is like the 1800s.
Yeah, this is the late 1800s, like 1890s. And...
But basically, Anne gets adopted by the Cuthberts, and they raise her, and she just kind of...
She gets into the life of school.
Yeah, because she's never been to school before, so
right.
that was a big thing. So it's just her navigating...
And she...
The trial she goes through, basically.
She becomes competitive in school.
Yeah.
Like, competitive.
Very competitive.
Because there's another person she has to compete with.
Yes, we will
And
talk
we will
about
talk about
that
that
person in a second. But the cancellation, here's
Okay, let me explain this let me explain how fast this happened.
This was too much.
So, it airs on Netflix.
Season 3.
Season 3, January 3rd.
We have already watched season 3. Thank you, VPN.
VPN and Canada's CBC Gem.
Canada's nightly newscast.
But, so the finale aired Sunday.
In Canada.
Today is Monday. It didn't air yesterday. Last Sunday.
Like a week before we're talking right
Yes, it aired that Sunday. And I kid you not, everyone had their time to freak out over the finale. Oh, spoilers, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Stop now if you want to watch Anne with an E. It is the most wholesome and adorable show ever. I highly recommend it. It's so cute.
It is amazing.
So stop now if you... Here's your warning.
Here's your warning. Okay. So everybody had their chance to freak out over this thing that they've been waiting for at least 3 to 4 years. Which we will get into.
Yes, we'll talk about it in a second.
There's just a lot.
I'm getting so antsy.
Because we want to save this because this is going to take the longest time to talk about.
Yes.
But less than 24 hours. They didn't probably even get numbers in for the finale. It hasn't aired on Netflix, so they don't have numbers from that. It gets canceled. Netflix puts up the poster that says the final season. Moira Beckett or whatever, the executive producer, the creator, posts something like a goodbye, thank you. Amy Beth McGoltnery,
who plays
Anne, posts something. Everybody starts posting things, and everyone just flips out. And everybody
trending on Twitter.
Everybody goes into saving mode, which everybody does with a show that is canceled too early. Because there are shows that are canceled, and it's at the right time. There are shows that are canceled way too long. But this is one of them that actually had a plan for 4 to 5 seasons. So there's supposed to be 2 more seasons. And we were trending number 1 on Twitter with hashtag renew Anne with an E and hashtag save Anne with an E. All of these hashtags, there's been trending parties. All these hashtags have made up about 4 to 5 million tweets. And there was a show that was canceled on, I want to say Fox. I think it was on called Lucifer. And it got picked up by Netflix a year and a half later.
Oh my god.
But it took people to get 4 to 5 million tweets 18 months.
For Lucifer?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
So we did that in
a
week.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So,
well,
I have a feeling there's a chance.
I feel like there has to be.
Oh.
Okay, because here's the thing. Well, 2 things. It was kind of announced or leaked that CBC, the Canadian network, wanted the split from Netflix. Right. It wasn't even about ratings.
People started digging for dirt about who, because everybody blamed Netflix first because that's the one that put out the final season. And
CBC didn't say anything.
CBC did not say anything. But Netflix put it out the final season. And so everybody went after Netflix. And then people started talking to Netflix.
And Netflix was like, this ain't us.
No, it ain't us. And they're like, CBC. And then CBC was like, there's all this stuff that you don't know if it's fake. People can Photoshop things, everything like that. But people have started, there's the production company who actually owns the show. And the CEO of that company have followed the creator of that show now, of Anne with an E. So people were like... And Netflix could grab the rights to it solely.
I could see them doing that. Okay, one thing you said to me, and one thing I've also noticed just on Twitter and Instagram, is that people are like, why are shows like Riverdale still existing? Yeah. But shows like Anne with an E getting canceled? Because this show is even for it's an 1800s, it takes place in the 1800s. Post-Civil War. And it's there's not a lot of shows that people like that are period pieces that solely focus on a time period where there's no technology, no nothing. Olden days.
The closest thing I can remember that I've actually watched to this is maybe Vampire Diaries when they had little bits of period.
Yeah, the flashbacks.
But those are tiny bits. Yeah, but these are tiny bits, and but they have semi-modern day things that make it work. That I'm not sure were in the original. Things like the storyline about Cole, I'm not sure if that was original or if that was put in. Or just talking about sexism and feminism. Racism even. They talked about
big topics.
Big topics and they cover. And then you're going to save a show like Riverdale who don't cover that.
Where the students with the teacher, there's a guy named Jughead.
There's freaking cults. There's killing people. There's bad writing. They only have one
weird musical episode. I haven't even seen the show.
They have 2 weird musical episodes. It's not like...
So it's like, why are the dumb shows surviving, but the shows with messages in them getting canceled?
Renew and with an E, cancel River Fail.
Yes, say it louder for the people in the back.
It's ridiculous.
So that's why this episode's called #Save Anne with an E.
Because we gotta save this freaking amazing show.
You best believe we're gonna be putting this everywhere.
You know however long this takes, because it could be till January till Netflix puts it out. We gotta keep fighting until then, because then once Netflix, I'm gonna rewatch it when it comes out on Netflix, because
this was an amazing.
This is an amazing season.
With that being said, let's talk about why we love the show and
Okay. So I remember last year I watched this show for the first time.
I watched this less than a month ago. I binged so much.
You binged fast. I watched this last summer. And I watched it for this sole reason, because I kept
This is why I started watching.
I kept seeing edits and videos and clips all over Instagram, and I'm like, that's how I find shows, honestly. Yeah. And I was just like, this is cute. Let me watch this. Mm-hmm. And even though, the first 2 episodes don't have this boy in them, the 3rd episode, he comes in.
2 words. Say it with me.
Gilbert freaking Blythe.
Gilbert Blythe.
Oh, good Lord.
Your boy Gilbert Blythe. I saw so many edits with him and Anne, because their ship name
is Sherbert.
Anne's middle name is Shirley, so Shirley, Gilbert, Sherbert. The more you know. But I kept seeing Sherbert edits on my Instagram feed, probably when last season came out. Right. And I was like, who are these kids?
Yeah, you see random videos, you're like, I've never seen this. Yeah. Why is this on my feed?
But they are so adorable,
they're so innocent and pure. Oh my gosh.
It's the 1800s.
So
different times.
So
you can never find Gilbert Blythe now.
Bring Gilbert Blythe to the 2020s.
Will all Gilbert Blythes please rise? Show yourself.
You deserve to be seen. No, because oh my gosh, the first episode he came in was episode 3. He was already infamous. She went to her first day of school.
Yeah, he's mentioned.
He's like, Diana's like, all the boys are dumb. Well, except Gilbert Blythe. Every girl had a crush on him.
Her friend group. Anne's friend group. Diana's her best friend. We love Diana.
Diana's the best.
And there's other girls. Ruby is second best friend. But Ruby, from season 1 to maybe beginning of 3, she's in love with Gilbert.
She has dibs on him.
I know, that's what they told Anne. She's like, oh, you can't be with Gilbert.
You can't talk with him. You can't look at him.
Ruby's had dibs on him for years.
Yeah, she's liked him for 3 years. That's what Josie Pye told her. Their
classroom and school is just one room.
Yeah.
And it's like that for years. So
it's split down the middle, guys and girls.
Oh my gosh. Okay, the teacher, Mr. Phillips.
I don't like to talk about that teacher. That teacher was weird. That teacher
was so weird.
That teacher was
irrelevant. But Sherbert, oh my gosh.
So he
saves her.
Yeah, he technically kind of saves her. So Billy starts to bully her. Billy does not deserve recognition.
No, we're not talking about Billy.
The guy who plays him, he's like, let Billy be revived for another season. I'm like, no, we don't care.
After season 3, no.
No, after season
3. Remember when I told you the actress who plays Anne was rumored to be with the actor who plays Billy, which doesn't make any sense. No. I don't understand.
But, so, their first interaction, so he kind of saves her from Billy who's bullying her, and he's like, y'all playing a game? And we probably need to get to class or whatever. He's like, you alright, miss? Or,
you alright, miss?
No! And she's like, yeah, and she goes and he's like, you need dragons to be slayed? I was like, okay, kind of cheesy. But okay.
I have chills.
And then he tries to follow her, but he's also going to school, so he's not technically
what a pursuer.
But it's a huge deal in that era if you walk with somebody.
Yeah, because this is the olden days, right?
Yeah. So it's like walking out with somebody saying you're with them.
It's in the DMs.
Basically.
Now. It's a big deal.
And they both walked in together into this school, which is really purely just coincidence.
Yeah.
And he opens the door and she's like, I'm sorry if I was rude. My name's Anne. He's like, and then everyone's like, Gilbert!
Yeah.
And then all the girls are just
all mad and jealous.
Giving her death stares and all that.
Oh,
but he tries to get her attention.
Oh, he does. And guess what Anne does? Morgan, please explain. Please explain this infamous moment.
Okay. This was their first episode. I cannot believe this. She's eating lunch by herself, and then he tries to talk to her, And she's like, I'm not supposed to be talking with you.
Because of the Ruby stuff.
Right, and the girls are watching from the window right where she's eating.
Because basically, if Anne talked to Gilbert, the girls would, like, turn against her.
Right,
It
they
was
already
so
were
weird.
against her.
I know, at the beginning, for sure. Diana was, like, the...
mediator.
Yeah.
And then they're in class, they're doing math on their slates, their little chalkboards. And Gilbert's looking over at her from across the room. They're kind of diagonal from each other. And he starts throwing little bits of chalk, trying to get her attention to look over. She hears it, and she looks up, and you see a lot of the girls also kind of look up.
Yeah. Like,
Ruby sits behind her.
Yeah, looking to see what Anne's going to do.
And then she's like, okay, go back to work. He does it yet again. She has the same reaction. So do everybody else. And then, I'm surprised the teacher didn't look up.
I know. I was like, Mr. Phillips, turn around.
But then, he stands up out of his seat. He walks over with an apple in his hand and pretends, he's like, whoops, and he puts it on the table.
Yeah, like pretends he dropped it or something.
And he's like, hey, and this happens, this is something that has happened in every single adaptation. They kept it the same. Hey.
Because this was a start.
Yes, and she has her hair in braids.
Red hair, keep in mind.
And he's still trying to get her attention. She's not giving him time of day. He pulls her hair and calls her carrots. And she whacks him with the slate and it breaks.
He gets knocked.
So that thing was styrofoam, and she did that for 3 hours straight when they were shooting.
3 hours?
3 hours.
Oh my goodness.
But she like knocked him. It broke her slate.
Yeah.
And he was like, but when she did it, she's like, I'm not talking to you. Yeah. And then he's like, everyone kind of like is like
freaking
shocked.
Out.
And then his reaction is like smiling. He's like, you just did. I was like
he didn't even care that he just got smacked.
No, he did not care.
He's like, oh, she talked to me. Like she noticed me. Literally gets beat up. She noticed me. But that was the start of a beautiful romance that would unfortunately take 3 seasons to really start.
Yes.
Because in season 3 there's 16, and with the thing in this time of day, like this time period, when you were 16, you go to college, and you start getting married.
You start
when you
getting
16,
engaged, and
guys start to, air quotes, take notice of you. And that was a huge thing in season 3. All the girls were like, oh, I saw so-and-so walked home together.
Right.
Or he walked her home after the game.
Yeah. Season 1 was filled with, like, little, like, they used to argue a lot.
Yeah.
They were just they were competitors in school because he was super smart, he was top of their class, and then she started to become top of their class. And it was like, you're going to beat me in class, we're going to win fair and square kind of thing, competition. By season 2, he's gone half the season. Unfortunately. But it doesn't stop them from building something.
His father passed away. That was when Anne hugged Gilbert.
No.
When his dad passed away.
Didn't she hug him in season 3?
Okay, well, I'm talking about the first time.
Oh.
His dad passes away, and it's, like, just him in the family, so he leaves school, which I found it so ironic, or not ironic, but, like, kind of weird that you can just leave school whenever you want, and you can show up again when you want.
I'm like, is it special for him?
There's not, like, he's not held back or anything.
Right.
It just, he picks up where he left off.
I think maybe because he was ahead.
Maybe because he was so smart, but he's Gilbert. I mean, I understand. So he goes to work on the docks, and, like, he's traveling the world, and he meets
Sebastian.
His friend turned family, Sebastian.
Who, this was the start of a really interesting storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
We love Sebastian.
Love Sebastian, and he saw him as no different.
Yeah.
Which was rare for that time period.
Mm-hmm.
During that time period, black people were still slaves.
Yeah.
So it was like...
But Sebastian was free, and people. I remember people were like, "Oh, go do this for me." He's like, "I'm free.
I'm free.
Like, leave me alone."
It's like Dobby. I'm free.
Oh my gosh. But so eventually, Gilbert comes back to Canada. There was a gold scare in the town. Yeah, that's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, it is. But that's what he and Anne started writing letters back and forth.
Yeah, she sends letters to him overseas.
And like Marilla's like she's like, there's nothing romantic about this letter.
Yeah.
And then he's like. Sebastian's trying to convince him, like...
Sebastian teases him about
Sebastian teasing him about it, and he's like... a girl like that doesn't make... Like, she's making you smile like
You're
that.
You're stuttering so much because Sherbert is that
I know! I was trying to think of the quote,
shook
but the quote...
At Sherbert, you can't even tell. I completely relate.
He's like... He's literally just like... she makes you smile so much. Like, you have to like her kind of thing.
He's like, oh, it's not like that with Anne. Like, whatever, Gilbert.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. We see
Try to convince
the
us
looks.
that. The prolonged eye contact.
My gosh.
But when he returns, what I love about when he returns is that, so she tries to dye her hair.
Yeah, Anne was going through, like, some personal like, insecurity stuff. So she tried. I didn't think you could dye your hair back then.
I didn't think. I think you could, like, with certain colors, because based off of, like, how they
was she trying? No, she would always get teased for her red hair, being called carrots, like what Gilbert had said. So was she trying to dye it darker? I feel like that was the only way.
I think she was trying to dye it black. And it failed, and it dyed it green.
So she has to shave her head.
She cuts her hair.
Pixie cut.
Pixie cut her hair, which she's made fun of by the teacher even when she gets back.
People will think she was a boy.
Yeah, well, when she walks in, everybody sees her haircut like this for the first time. Also, Gilbert's back.
Who's back?
Gilbert's
of all
back.
Days.
And nobody was expecting it, and neither was she. And she, like,
oh my gosh,
he doesn't blink an eye.
That scene when he just, like, walks through the crowd and sees her.
The slow-mo, and then it, like, speeds up. I was like,
he's like, Anne.
It's like, good to see you. She's like, he doesn't care.
Yeah. We love Gilbert Blythe.
He doesn't care. What? Like, really? But then, we're going to skip ahead to the end of season 2 because the iconic quote that leads us into season 3.
Oh my gosh, the cliffhanger.
They're talking about...
Sebastian gets married. Married to Mary.
Married to Mary.
So, Anne became close. Well, Anne and Gilbert were, like, really good family friends. Like, their families
were
just there for each other.
Yeah.
Especially after his father's death. I feel like that's when they got closer. Like, he spent Christmas with Anne and the Cuthberts. Which I'm like, the scene when they blow out the candle.
Oh. Okay, I was rewatching that. So, like, Sebastian was like, I'm so excited to meet this Anne. I've heard a lot about her, and he's, like, laughing. And when she walks in the room, Gilbert is the only one that stands up before everybody else and, like, has this look on his face. I was like, my God, the boy's in love.
He's been, we will get to how long he's been in love for a second.
But the ending, so they get married.
Anne's there, Gilbert's there, obviously.
And they're talking about, like, the future, like, what, she talks about how she wants to be a teacher. He talks about how he's going to continue pursuing to be a doctor. And it goes all this stuff and everything. And... oh,
side note, they got a new teacher. So it's kind of Miss Stacy.
Yes.
We'll talk about her later because she's awesome.
She's amazing. I
love her.
And she's,
like, Anne's role model.
Yes.
She also
wants to be a teacher.
She defies, like, the stereotypes.
Yes,
and the
social norms for women.
That's the word.
But, I don't know.
Well, okay, side note, because this will make sense with the quote. Miss Stacy is a widow. So Anne thought that was, like, the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And just being Anne was like, oh, you have a tragic romance. Like, all that stuff. So when she told Gilbert she was thinking of being a teacher, he says...
tragical romance and all.
To which Anne replies with...
remains to be seen.
And then cut to black.
And it's
cut to, like, nervous, like, giddy looks. And then cut to black.
But, like, when he says he's like, tragical romance and all, and, like, she kind of pauses and looks at him and is like, with this kind of smile on her face, she's like, remains to be seen.
Oh my God, I'm freaking out just remembering.
It's what leads everybody into season 3 and hopes for this.
Season 3 was definitely the best season.
Oh, for sure.
It had everything.
It had almost every episode a moment between them two.
Yes.
And
a moment that we have deserved.
For 3 seasons.
Those are just good storylines.
So season 3.
Season freaking 3.
I'm gonna skip ahead to the bigger ones.
Yes.
But we're gonna give a little backstory. So he goes into Charlottetown, Gilbert,
which is like the closest town, because Green Gables and that area, Avonlea, that's a
Avonlea.
Town. It's small.
But he's going into like intern.
He's an apprentice. For the doctor in Charlottetown.
Yeah, and
what
is she?
Like the receptionist.
Whatever, but she's like when we meet her, she's like cleaning and being like really.
That was a weird scene.
That was a weird scene. But also, I could see why he was drawn to her, because I feel like that's something, like, Anne would do as well. But I don't know how old she is. He asked her how old she was.
And she didn't answer. I feel like if he was 15, 16... Okay, let's just say, who's she?
This is Winifred. Everybody calls her Winnie. He calls her Winnie.
Boo!
And... Boo! Yes. He eventually, like... Gilbert wants to go to this really well-known medical school in Paris called Sorbonne or something like that. And he
can't afford it.
He can't afford it, and he wants to get in, so he kind of makes a deal with her dad.
He starts going out with Winifred.
But he, like, courts her to where, like, I'm going to marry her if I can get into the school, which, boy, you know better than to treat a girl like that. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, he played her. But also all the Anne stuff, okay, but Winifred...
Winifred helped, though, in the end.
In the end, it worked out. He was supposed to kind of be with someone else to realize who he should be with.
But one of the biggest scenes that, gives me chills and butterflies every time I see it is before everything kind of goes downhill, before the carnival. They have to learn a dance.
Oh my gosh. This is my favorite scene in the entire show.
I watched it like 4 times last night.
Me too. I can't get
every time there's like this one part of it where I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, okay. A little backstory. By this point, Ruby is thankfully over Gilbert, and I'm so glad there was no drama. Moody. Freaking Moody grew
She's like Mrs. Ruby Spurgeon or whatever.
Whatever his name was. Imagine if Diana and Moody happened. I was kind of like going into it. I was like, here for it.
Wouldn't be bad.
It started so early. I wanted her with Jerry.
And then that turned out to be awful.
Yeah.
I don't want that again.
Me either. We'll get into that maybe if we talk about it. But, so Ruby's over Gilbert, so it worked out perfectly with the timing because no girls were like, and you can't talk to Gilbert. I mean, I think by this point they're kind of like...
They're like old enough. They've moved on to their own suitors.
They were over it because the take notice board was back up and running where you would leave a note. Oh, wait.
Hold on. I gotta talk about that. Hold on. We gotta talk about the take notice board.
The take notice board.
The take notice board. That was the first episode of season 3.
Okay, this is back when Ruby did like Gilbert.
Yes, and everybody knew that Gilbert and Anne were like kind of friends.
Something was there. Oh, family friends, yeah.
Yeah, so there's like one scene that was really weird and awkward, but they all looked at her and she's like, you gotta talk to him. She's like, no. But for the take notice board, Ruby's like, can you tell him, like, maybe get him to, like, push him, give him a hint?
To pursue me, yeah.
Yeah, give him a hint to, like, put something on the take notice board.
Anne was her wingman.
Yeah, and she goes up to him, she's like, the take notice board is up, and he's like, take notice, and she explains it, and he's like...
you leave a note if you like somebody, or, like...
To pursue a post in advance of a
it's like
pre-advance or something like that.
Establishing to everyone, hey, there's something going on here, don't interfere.
Right, exactly.
Which I'm like, that is bull.
Yeah, basically. And it's like marking your territory.
Yeah.
But the whole time they're like talking, he's like, to a future together, and she's like, yeah. And you can so tell. I rewatched this.
Look on his face.
Look, he's thinking, oh my gosh, she's talking about
and
like us.
Hints.
About us. And she's like, yeah, it's like, so you want me to post? And then she stutters and she's like, and then she goes, if you like Ruby, you should let her know and everything like that.
Like she started realizing what he was getting at and freaked out.
And like she said that and then his face changed.
And then he got like mad.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm not really a post guy. And then she goes to Ruby and Ruby's like, she's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, did you see his eyes when you were talking to me about me? There's so much romance. And Anne was like, romance? I was like, are you kidding?
Like Ruby thought he got all like giddy about it because of her, but really it was he
Anne.
thought it was about Anne.
Yeah.
Anne denies her feelings for a long time.
Oh, Cole was the first one to like notice it in her group because Cole was like, he has a crush on you, right? And she's like, no. Gosh. You stupid, of course he does. Okay, but the dance. Back to this.
There's like a carnival that happens in the county.
But so they have to practice this dance. All the class.
A barn dance.
And they stand opposite of each other and they do this beautiful dance scene that just like every time
it was magical.
Like they had to like touch hands and I was like, oh my god.
Because they ended up being partners.
Right, for the whole thing. And he was just like his face. He was like giddy and she was like, you could tell he was giddy and she was nervous. She was nervous. She was like, oh crap. I was like watching it, I was like,
that is literally my favorite scene in the entire show. It is so... And my favorite Sherbert moment. Because when he got, like, kind of fun with it against, like, the typical, like, dance.
When he grabbed her and did that, like, swish and then you pan down to their hands, I was like, And then
the look!
Okay, I watched it again at the end of it where he kind of like puts out his hand and then she grabs.
Yes, oh my gosh. We really love this couple.
Yes, as you can tell. Past that, this is where everything goes to crap.
Yeah,
basically.
get ready, buckle up.
They go to the carnival. Anne starts to finally realize, maybe he's my destiny, and starts talking to Diana about it. And then all of a sudden, he steps out with Winnie.
And her parents. And if you meet someone's parents, you're basically saying, I'm going to marry them.
Yeah, basically. And, oh!
I hated this.
It was so, oh my gosh.
When Anne saw them together, my heart broke.
I know. And then, like, they had that whole confrontation and everything, and it's just like...
When they stood, when Gilbert and Anne talked.
Stood in front of, like, the true love thing.
The tunnel of love.
Tunnel of love?
Them.
Okay.
Irony. We see the creator dropping hints.
Mm-hmm. Then, the next episode there wasn't a lot, but, like, he stood up for her when they were talking about, like, the free speech and everything like that. It's like, yes. Like,
yeah, because this whole thing goes down with...
Diana and all the girls and everything.
A lot of drama. We won't get into that.
But, then... Episodes 8, 9, and 10 are big Surebird episodes.
Pivotal moments.
Pivotal. 8 specifically is one of the... Oh my gosh. How many times have I seen confession scenes in front of a campfire? Thank you, Disney. Thank you, WB.
This campfire scene?
Like I said, I've seen like 2 others. This is one of my favorites.
Really?
Yes. Because the other 2 I've seen are... Go back to a time where there was another teenage couple, freaking Lucas and Maya from Girl Meets World. Never forget. How did people survive that Twitter year? And Joey and Basin from Dawson's Creek. And I was watching this, I was like, this is better. I love this.
So cute. Because basically, what led to this campfire scene and big Sherbert moment, like, it was a turning point.
Oh, it was a huge one.
They take their entry-level test.
Queen's entry.
Yeah, Queen's was like the college. So, they just... It's like they took the SATs or something.
Right.
And they, like, went out drinking afterwards.
They had moonshine and everything.
Yeah, like, someone snuck it in. And they made, like, a campfire.
And Anne was, like, doing this funny stuff.
Like, tribal dance.
She was just talking about being a pirate and everything like that. And then Gilbert walks in, he's like...
Yeah, Gilbert left after the test to meet up with Winifred.
He was going to propose that night. He was. And then he didn't. So, he comes back to maybe... He comes back specifically to talk to Anne. And he's like, can I talk with you? And she's like, yeah, okay. And he sits by and he's like... And he basically rants to her about everything. And she's
about how, like, Winifred's dad offered him acceptance into the school he wants to go to, like, the practice, getting married, moving to Paris.
And she's like... And he's like, I just don't know. And she's like, Winifred... and her parents are so kind or whatever.
And you could see the pain in her eyes. She was, like, holding back tears.
Yeah, and then, like...
But trying to support him at the same time.
And then he slowly starts to sit down while she's saying this. And she's like, Sorbonne is your dream. I don't understand what's holding you back. And they just look at each other. And I swear, from the moment I saw this scene, I had it in my mind for the entire week until the next episode. I would just be like... I would just repeat. I was just like, oh my
I know. When Anne asked, what's holding you back?
And he just, like, kind of looks at her with this, like, romance in his eyes. And he's just like, just one thing. And you're just like, holy crap. He just admitted he has feelings for her. What the heck?
It's been a long time coming.
And then she freaks out. She, like, goes on this, like, stuttering thing. Like, I have chills.
I know, dude. I've had chills this entire episode. I can't.
I'm, like, sweating. I'm getting so heated talking about this.
We're very passionate.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But
get it together.
I've never been this heated of like a couple on a show. These are like teenagers. This is insane.
It's just so innocent.
It is.
Like, pure. It's true.
Oh my gosh.
Freaking love.
It is. And she freaks out and then he's like... And then
also, Anne's like... We will mention this again with another scene that happens, but Anne's literally, like, kind of tipsy.
Yeah.
And they're, like, she's so not ready to have this deep conversation.
No, it, like, sobers her up.
I know. So she, like, what do you think she was going to say, you know?
She's like, I don't know what to say.
It's like...
Pirate.
I know, despite the hints that had been dropped for years, it's still... Him saying it did come out of the blue. It was, like, weird timing.
Yeah,
She's
it was...
literally dancing around with her friends.
Because, was it that day? it was that day, I think, that Diana found out that Gilbert was going to propose. But she didn't tell Anne that day.
Because she couldn't leave. Remember when Diana was, like, stuck at home?
Yeah.
But when Gilbert came over, did he get the ring? No. He was talking about the Apple shipment with Diana's dad.
Yeah.
Like, business stuff. And then she overheard, because Gilbert showed Diana's dad the ring.
Yeah.
That was his mother's ring.
Right.
But Diana couldn't leave.
And by the time she did get there, Anne was gone. She couldn't...
And the campfire scene had already happened.
Yeah. And so...
This is when it, like, oh my gosh.
This is when...
I think it's good.
So, Marilla tells Anne in the morning, thinking she knows. It's like, I'm so sorry to hear that Gilbert's going to propose to her. And then she's like...
because word spread,
obviously. But also, that whole time, Anne's like, I'm in love with Gilbert Blythe.
Yeah.
And so she writes him up.
The letters.
She writes him a letter. This is why letters don't work.
Yeah.
And...
Man, they didn't have Instagram or...
I know. She's like, I'm sorry I was confused. I'm not anymore. I love you. Like, P.S. Give me my pin back.
Yeah, like, don't marry this girl, basically.
And she drops it off at...
The house. Sebastian's mom's in town.
And it gets stuck under a...
It goes on a journey.
It got stuck under, like, a water jug.
Yeah.
And then...
The mom sees it and then just puts it on the table. And leaves it.
And then it gets picked up and dropped on the floor. It lands under Gilbert's shoe.
It gets stuck on his shoe.
Gets stuck on his shoe. He walks outside and he trips and it lands and smushed in the ground and never can be seen again.
He never sees the
letter. He never sees the letter. So she thinks, oh, he saw it and he doesn't feel the same way. Yeah, like he didn't
want to be with me. And then he's thinking, Anne doesn't want to be with me.
Right. Well, that's when...
Oh, this sequence. Holy crap.
Okay, so sequence. I'm pretty sure episode 9, that's all that big that happened with
episode 10. Let's forget episode 9.
Episode 10, the pivotal episode. So, it opens up with him basically breaking up with Winifred.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm getting dumped for unrequited love, because he's like, I have feelings for her, she doesn't have feelings for me, kind of thing.
But he knows those feelings are stronger than his for Winifred.
And so they break up.
But she makes Gilbert promise
not to tell anyone
because of like her image.
Right.
She was like, everyone thinks you're gonna get married. Don't tell anyone. Give me 2 weeks until I leave the country because she's British.
Right.
So she's like, wait till I get back home. Then you can tell people we're not together. So I don't have to see like the looks you would give me.
And then
so he agrees.
Yes.
Meaning in his mind he's thinking I have to wait 2 weeks before I can try pursuing Anne.
Right. And so Anne and all the girls are off to Queen's College and they're settling in and everything. And Anne is still waiting to hear. She hears from her the whole point of this season was also learning more about herself and her family.
With Diana? Or Anne?
Anne.
Oh, yeah.
But in the midst of all this, Gilbert, I don't know why he went over there in the first place. Maybe to tell her. I think he might have gone over to tell her originally. But nobody's home. So he writes a letter. Mm-hmm.
These letters.
Pull it up.
Oh my gosh. Do you want me to pull it up?
Yes, pull it up because I want to read this because it's the most romantic thing I've ever written.
Read it? Where can I find it? Oh my god, I'm getting flashbacks. Well, we gotta talk about him going through the flashbacks.
Yes.
And then going to the beach. Okay, as Morgan is finding a transcribed version of this beautiful letter, let me explain something that happens before. This is before the letter, right? Before...
Yes, it is before the letter.
So, in episode 10... Gilbert, he's trying to find Anne, basically, after he breaks up with Winifred. And he goes to, like, Anne's favorite places. And it's, like, a montage of flashbacks and, like, parallels.
They only show one flashback, I thought.
Whichever. It's parallels. So he finds this, like, clubhouse, I guess you could say, Anne would go to with her friends that got destroyed. He goes to it. And just remembering Anne. Then he finds a seashell on the ground. Then goes to the beach and the specific cliff that Anne would love to go to. And he's just like, it's showing like parallels of where he's at and where Anne's at, and oh my gosh.
And then like when he walks into the Diana's house and he has that flashback of them dancing.
Oh, the flashback of the barn scene dance.
Gosh.
Oh, this show.
So, the letter.
Oh my gosh.
Literally had to transcribe this because I could not find it anywhere. So this is what Gilbert writes, word for word, to Anne, which is the most romantic thing I think I've ever heard in my life.
Oh my gosh.
The standard.
Gilbert Blythe is the new standard.
Yes.
If he's not Gilbert Blythe or like him, I don't want him.
No. Okay, so...
I'm freaking out.
So he says, Dear Anne, since we are parting ways, perhaps forever, I feel I must unburden my heart. You are the fond object of my affection and my desires.
Oh my god.
You and you alone are the keeper of the key to my heart. Please don't be alarmed. I don't expect your favor. But I can't, in good conscience, not reveal myself.
Oh. Keep going.
I know. This is the part I memorized.
Dude, I have so many chills.
I'm not engaged, nor will I be, unless it's to you, Anne. I can't say this. I'm gonna cry.
Start the sentence over.
I'm not engaged, nor will I be, unless it's to you, Anne. My Anne with an E. It always has been and always will be you. With love, Gilbert. Shut the heck up!
Working through the journal on the ground. The beautiful letter.
And then we gotta run it. He leaves it for her with the pen. She sees it and she gets mad, thinking he couldn't face her to tell her he doesn't feel the same way. She rips it up, realizes it might have said something, tries to rearrange it in this weird non-readable way, and thinks, oh, he doesn't have feelings for me.
She thinks, once again, he doesn't like me.
Right. And so they both have their basically parted ways.
Yeah.
He's on his way to Toronto.
Mm-hmm. He's going to school in Toronto.
And she is in Queens. And Diana is on this train.
She just happens to be there. I didn't remember.
Well, she was going to Paris with her dad for the school, and then all of a sudden in that train ride, he changes his mind. I don't know.
At this point, we don't care. We're concerned about this love story.
Concerned about this. And Diana hears, she's like, so you're going to Queens after all? He's like, no, actually, I'm going to Toronto. And then he's like, oh. And he also says that he's not engaged.
Yeah. And then Diana goes off.
Diana, savior to us all.
Yes.
Diana, sits down across from him, he smiles, and then she looks pissed.
She basically gets mad at him because she's like, oh, Anne wrote that letter to you.
Yeah, okay. She goes off and is like, you have had years and everything. Mm-hmm. You admit it. You've been smitten with Anne ever since she broke your slate in your head on the first day of school. And he just has this smirk and everything. And she's like, you're recording this mystery debutante and everything like that. It's like, you didn't even...
She calls him out for what he's done.
You didn't even let her know, even after she told you you didn't read the letter after she told you she loved you. And she finishes and Gilbert's like, what letter? And he's like, Diana, what letter? And this at the same time, as this is going on, Anne is figured out from Winnie, because she runs into Winnie, and he's like, he didn't tell you? And you don't see that confrontation the rest of it.
Anne realizes Gilbert's not engaged. So they realize at the same time.
They realize. So she's running, she's back at her dorm or whatever.
She literally packs her bag.
She packs her bag, she's in her fancy dress, her hair's falling out and everything like that.
I have to tell him.
She have to tell him. And then he's running through the town. He stops and looks in a alleyway, and I'm like, why are you looking in an alleyway?
Who knows?
Boy, go. You know where she is.
Yeah.
And he runs, and it's all this music is it's all fast, everything, and then you see her run out the door with her bag, and then he's at the front of the steps at the same time, finished running, and it just stops. Silent. And no words are said. She walks down the front steps of the building.
Oh my God.
And they just stand in front of each other, looking at each other, and he reaches his hand out and puts it on her cheek. And she's like, and he kisses her.
Yes, finally.
Freaking finally. And then he steps back. And he's like, and she pinches herself.
Yeah.
And she says, ow, and that's not a reaction he wants to see and everything. And she's like, I just had to make sure I have a really good imagination. I need to know that this is real. And he's like, Anne, I have to know. Do you have feelings for me? I'm like, boy, you just kissed her. Really?
She pinched herself to see if it was real.
Yeah.
I think she does.
And so then she kisses him. Oh my, that kiss. She pulls her in.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And everything. And then, oh my gosh. And then you hear the bell go off. It's noon. And it's like, okay, Cinderella.
Yeah,
he's like,
whatever.
he's like, I have to go. He's like, where are you going? You just got here. She's like, Toronto and everything and all that. And like, I have my bags. And he starts walking. And then Diana's there. And
She pulls up.
And Diana's going to go with her to Queens and everything. And Mr. Barry has brought his bags and they're on this carriage. He's like, you can take it. He's like, thank you and everything. He gets on the carriage. And they're still standing. Diana and her are standing there.
Before this, they agree to be pen pals. Like,
yes. He kisses her hands and like pen pals.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
They agree long distance relationship, pretty much.
Right. And then he sits on the carriage and he looks at her and she's like looking at him and he gets off that thing real quick. He like swerves out of that thing and kisses her twice. And then they're like both at the same time. I'll write to you.
Yeah.
He's like, I have a lot of follow-up questions. She's like, so do I. It's like, they didn't even explain, like, anything about each other. But then, like, they leave, and it's like, and the whole episode ends with her writing, Dear Gilbert, I look like my mother.
Oh, my gosh. Like, it opens up to what could happen in season 4 if...
You had this theory when you were watching it before any of these episodes came out about what would happen if...
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Explain. Which will lead us into our second episode.
Big oof, yeah. There's one of our favorite couples ever is Stydia, Stiles and Lydia from Teen Wolf. Ironically, the episode following this one is about Teen Wolf, so it worked out. And they built that up for seasons.
6 years.
It was far too long. Then they finally happened. In real life, Dylan O'Brien gets run over.
He gets hit by a train. Or something.
Gets run over on set for the Maze Runner, like the second movie or whatever. And that prevents him from being in Teen Wolf a lot.
The last season of Teen Wolf.
In the last season, you just, like, hear from afar.
You hear a voicemail, and you hear, like, you see them. You never see them as a couple interact.
It's established Stydia is real, they're together. But you
they
don't
see
it.
You don't see it.
After
6 years.
Years of building this up. So I remember I sent Morgan an audio message in like what?
Season 2
or something, and I was like, I really hope this doesn't turn out to be like Stydia, where they built it up the entire freaking show, then it happens, and then it's over. Cut to the cancellation.
She hadn't finished season 3 yet, but I told her about the cancellation. And I was like, it got canceled, and I'm happy, but yet angry at the same time.
I had a feeling that's what was going to happen.
And I was just like, so once you saw it, I was like, and they freaking canceled. They pulled a
Stydia.
And I was like, are you kidding me?
Literally the worst.
And nobody likes when this happens with the show. And this happened to a lot of shows, actually. But...
this one, oh my gosh, it has to get brought back.
Oh, for sure. And the way it's going now, I have a feeling it will. I still have hope.
We're going to spread this podcast episode like wildfire.
Yes. And
I loved it. Easily one of my favorite shows ever.
Oh, it was... the visuals in it are beautiful.
Beautiful cinematography.
It's, like, amazing. And, like, there's nothing bad about it, I can say.
It's just, like, it's not fake. It's not, like, dramatic.
It's not over dramatic.
It's real, genuine, and authentic.
And you can relate to it, even though it's, like, in the 1800s.
Yeah.
It's, like, I didn't think I'd like a period piece as much.
Now I'm obsessed with period pieces.
Yes. I gotta watch more.
Yeah.
But... season 4, we want it to happen, and if we do...
we want to see the college life. And Sherbert.
We want to see college life. We want to see Sherbert. We want to see a storyline that they started to build up and never let happen.
Oh my gosh.
Freaking...
Sebastian? And Miss Stacy.
I cannot remember her name. Miss Stacy.
The teacher and Sebastian.
Because...
Sebastian's wife passed. He has a daughter.
That hug.
I know. So then... it starts to kind of hint... well, I know they could do it because it'll be an interracial couple in the 1800s, post-Civil War, like all that stuff. So they just happen to keep running into each other.
Right.
And she's helping him with his baby.
Right.
And as a single father.
And she had that breakdown scene of, like, her holding
because she's like, I wonder if
Delphine.
I'm not meant to have one of these.
Yeah, she's like, I don't think I'm meant to have one of these. I'm like,
she's like, oh, the people I teach are like my kids.
Right.
So they hinted at that, and but that was open-ended because of the cancellation.
Right. But also, I was confused by his story at the end because... Sebastian's, because when we last saw him and his mother were having a fight, and he was talking about Delphine. It sounded like he was going to give her up.
I don't remember that.
I don't know why it sounded like that, though, but he
Well,
was like...
Elijah came back, remember?
Yeah.
And he's wanting to be in the family.
True. Yeah.
Sebastian couldn't.
I think that was episode 9 or something like that. Maybe
that was something else. Maybe he just said, maybe I'm not good enough, and then
Right.
Elijah comes in.
Right.
Okay. I was going to say, don't make me scared.
But yeah.
That's basically Anthony.
That is Anthony.
Please watch it.
Please watch it.
If you listen, despite the spoilers, please watch it, because...
I went into this knowing every single spoiler. I watched this entire season knowing spoilers.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. Comes out January 3rd, season 3. Go watch it. We're going to rewatch it. It was so good.
I'm definitely rewatching.
Like, oh my gosh. And so, now, we're going to talk about songs.
Yeah.
Mine, you know, I've seen it in all these edits and I want it.
I already know the song. Just say it.
The Soul Taylor Swift song I absolutely love for the rest of my life. Enchanted. I have seen
that
it
song
in so many videos for couples, and it's a beautiful song.
It is a beautiful song. It suits Sherbert so well.
It does, and I think I saw it for the first time, like, used like that. It's in one of my favorite videos for Ron and Hermione. It's, like, literally the best. But it's, oh my god, and I just, like, every time I come back around to it, I'm like, I'm obsessed with this song.
I've been listening to it since I finished watching.
Oh, good. But yeah.
Mine does not remind me of Sherbert.
Okay.
It reminds me of something else, but it's Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles. Yes.
Watermelon Sugar High.
Guess what, you guys?
We're seeing freaking Harry Styles!
Yes. August 11th, 2020, San Antonio AT&T Center, 8 o'clock p.m.
Gosh.
Section 125. Hit us up. We're going to be seeing
Harry freaking
the love
Styles.
of my life, at least.
I wasn't a Harry girl. But
I was so a Harry girl.
Let me. But that has severely changed over the years. To now, I'm like, okay.
Who were you the biggest fan of? Was it Liam?
It was Liam.
Oh my gosh!
Now
I'm
ashamed of that.
Now we're like disgusted with Liam.
Liam's a loser.
Honestly.
But
Well,
I've become more of a Harry fan over the past like year, probably with because like the music he came out with was so good.
I am so.
It's like from a different time.
Yeah, his album comes out in like a week or so. One song comes out this week. I'm ready, but I'm so excited. I can't
His
believe
album
we got
comes out on
tickets.
Taylor Swift's birthday.
Yeah, what a diss. I can't believe we're going to see him. So, Watermelon Sugar. And you know he's going to play a One Direction song. He always does.
Yes, please, so we can rock out.
I'm ready.
Wasn't there a video like he played, because he's written a lot of songs, and I've seen a video of him singing.
He wrote Just a Little Bit
Just
of
a Little Bit of Your Heart. And I was like, I want to see him perform that.
His version?
Just a Little Bit. Okay. So Just a Little Bit of Your Heart is an Ariana Grande song. But he wrote it originally.
Her version is trash compared to his. His is so good.
They're both good. They're both good vocalists. But, like, his is really good.
I'm biased.
His is really good. But, yeah.
Then he sung What Makes You Beautiful. His version, that was great. Story of My Life, his version.
Oh, I would cry if he sang Story of My Life.
If I Could Fly, he sung that one. Stockholm Syndrome. He sings a lot.
Oh. But that was when, like, he didn't have, like, he only had 10 songs.
True. But he also knows who he is.
Right. True. I'm ready.
All right. That's it for today's episode.
Follow us on our Untitled Pod on Instagram at our Untitled Pod, Untitled without the E.
Help us save Anne with an E.
Yes, please. Hashtag all over.
Yes.
And we just did a new photo shoot. We're going to have some cool photos coming out.
Finally updated pictures of us.
Yes. We've needed them. It's been a while. It's been like months. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed. Please go watch this freaking show because it is amazing.
Please, I do not want this.
These actors are so talented. They deserve, and the story's so amazing.
They deserve the world. Gilbert Blythe deserves
Shirley.
the freaking world.
Deserve the world.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.